y'all, welcome back to Bowls with the Bard. My name is Cakes, I am your host. For today's episode, we are talking to Caroline Dubberly. Caroline is an actor, singer, songwriter, and podcaster based in Washington, D.C. She is the host of the Caro Dub Power Hour. She has performed in A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Merry Wives of Windsor, and in Shayna Taub's As You Like It musical, which we will talk a little bit about later. But before we do that, we're gonna get a little high. All right, Caroline, what got you interested in Shakespeare?
Oh my gosh. Well, I went to this private school for 1 year in the 6th grade. And it was a private Christian school, so they were like, everything has to be classical and we're only doing Shakespeare, which doesn't really make any sense to me because Shakespeare is really violent and sexual. So that's bizarre, but there you go. Texas Presbyterian School. There you But even before that, I would say my parents would always, like, I always knew about Shakespeare, I guess. And like, we would watch the PBS videos. And like, I remember I was fairly young when I saw the King Lear one. And I will never fucking forget when they gouge out Gloucester's eyes. Never forget. I think I was like 10 or something when I saw.
Oh,
But for some context, my parents are in opera. So I've been around a Shakespearean level of violence depicted on stage and screen for a long time. And there are quite a few operas that are adaptations of Shakespeare. So it's kind of always been there. But okay, so I was in the 6th grade, and this was the first time I ever did a Shakespeare. Oh God, I'm just remembering it all so clearly. We were doing King Lear. And so the way they did it was they split the play up into 2 casts. And the younger cast did one scene as their character, and the older cast did the rest of the play. I was in the younger cast, so I did one scene as Goneril. And 11-year-old me was just like, it's just really funny how like full of myself I was as Goneril. and and then I'll never forget, they recorded it and they showed it to us back in class the next school day. And I didn't notice myself doing this on stage, but I was wearing this costume. We all had to provide our own costumes. And my mom is an opera singer. So she has all these like fancy dresses from when she would perform, like gowns, opera, like sequiny gowns. And so I wore one of those. It was like a velvet long green thing. But I was 11, so I
drowning in it.
Nothing to
Oh no.
in my life. And so so like the shoulders kept coming down. And so I would do, oh my God. I would be on stage and I would have my Goneril face like, and then I would just do that.
Oh no.
Back on. But it was up like that. And the whole time I was on stage, I didn't notice what was happening at all, but I saw it back and I was like, I am a fraud. Really, 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 really funny when I think about it now.
That's beautiful. I love that. You were probably like, yeah, I'm just going like this a little.
Exactly.
Slight adjustment.
Slight adjustment. No one's going to notice. It's all good.
That was strong but wrong.
Yes. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got into Shakespeare.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So zooming way into the future, I got the chance to see you in As You Like It at Keegan, the Shayna Taub musical version. What
Yes.
was that like for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I really, really, really love that piece. I really love what Shayna Taub and Laurie Woolery have done with not just As You Like It, they have several of these musical adaptations, and they've all been done for oh shit, what is the name?
I think it's the
Name.
Public Works
Public
series.
Works. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Public Works through the Public Theater. And it's kind of taken on this really cool life of its own where all over the country people will do their own public works productions of these shows. Like I have friends who are company members at Dallas Theater Center who did um they either did no, I think they did do As You Like It. It was either that or the 12th Night version, but they did that and it was like a community engagement piece like the one in New York. But the one in DC was small cast, and they have like a note at the beginning where it's like, however many people you want, the bigger the better, but small and intimate works too. So yeah, I don't remember how many people we had in it. It was like 12 or something like that. And yeah, I love the piece, and I really enjoyed talking to Kara Gabriel about the role. We had a lot of really good talks and discussions about, okay, what is the role of Jaques? Why does it matter that in this they really want me to engage with the audience and be breaking the fourth wall for a majority of the piece as kind of like that like a connector between the audience and the actors, even though at certain points we all really like it was very much like a hey, you're in this with us, and we're like, if we're in Arden and so are you, and we're all under the greenwood tree together, which is like one of the most beautiful songs in the entire show. And that, which leads me to the other thing I really loved about it, is the music. Singing that music was just like they feel spiritual to sing, and I think that's right on the money. I think that is really evocative of Arden. Um, yeah, so the music is just so beautiful. It was so much fun to sing. Um, I loved that I got to play the keyboards
Yeah.
during the songs. Um, yeah, Shayna didn't do that in the New York version. Um, but it was really cool to play her music. And Shayna Taub and Laurie Woolery came to see the show.
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
It was so cool. It was just really awesome to have them there and to be able to speak with them afterwards and like be like, oh wow, I get to look at the audience the whole time. What a great opportunity for me to very surreptitiously look over there and see if they're enjoying themselves. And Shayna was just like,
Oh.
it was so cute. It was so cute. I bet, yeah. I'm in the middle of writing my own musical right now. So
Oh,
I
hell yeah.
like, what would it be like to see your own work done by people you don't even know? Like just how just overwhelming and cool and humbling and all of that stuff. So it was very, very cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. I walked out and I was like, what a cool show for DC theater. Like, I feel like it represented the best parts of DC theater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's a really diplomatic way to say that. And I love that because
You know.
it's true. Like, fuck it. I'm going to be very candid for a second and say this past year has made me really doubt a lot of those very sincere feelings that I had doing that show, and belief that I had in the community, including at Keegan, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened since then that has just been very hurtful, and just like in general, and just, as we think about, okay, well, at the Keegan Theater, we did this show about community where we wanted to bring the audience in with us. It was all, that was the entire theme of it, is community and love and taking care of each other. So it makes me wonder, like, what does that actually look like in real life? How are we going to actually engage with audiences? Does it stop at their checkbook, pocketbook? Like, does it stop with us asking for their money, for donations, for tickets? What else are we doing for the community? Are we making those tickets too expensive to be affordable? I've worked at Keegan 6 times. I cannot afford a ticket to go see a show at Keegan.
No, me neither.
That's a problem, and it's not just a Keegan problem by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh no, no, no.
So I think, yeah, I think you're right. It celebrates the best, and it celebrates like moments that exist and that have happened and that will happen again in DC theater, because it's such a complex combination of institutions and people. And it also like it's also like, I think, a hope for a future ideal that maybe we're not completely at yet. But I would like to see that happen for sure.
For sure. And it's encouraging that it's happening elsewhere. People are dreaming those dreams and making them happen, but
Absolutely. And it's slow work. It's
oh
very,
yeah, oh absolutely.
I don't think we'll see the fruit, really see the fruit of all of the changes that have been implemented and will continue to be implemented throughout this year for at least another 3 or 4 years.
Oh God, no, no, yeah.
Yeah.
So while we're sitting in deep conversation, um, I didn't get to see this, but you got the opportunity to play the Squip in Be More Chill at Monumental. And I feel like Shakespeare is this weird and wonderful place in theater where like I have had the privilege of getting to just like fuck with gender my whole career and be a guy when someone wants me to be a guy, or like whatever, it just happens. What do you think it's going to take for the world of musical theater to mirror that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this question. Holy shit. Yeah, and I first want to start this by saying Shakespeare, seeing myself play roles or want to play roles that were, I mean, let's be real, they were all written for men, but that are male roles, men roles, man roles. The first time I ever was like, I want to play Edmund, and I want to fuck that shit up. And like I've done a few Shakespeare in the bar, Shakespeare in the pub thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Texas one called Shakespeare in the Bar, and I get them mixed up all the time. But yeah, Shakespeare in the Pub, and I did Romeo and Juliet with them, and then I did Titus Andronicus twice. Played Demetrius both times.
Oh hell yeah.
Holy shit, so much fun. But like, yes, I don't know why. Maybe it's because musical theater is so inherently American and so inherently, I don't know. There's some things about it that are just very conservative, I think. And I think gender is one of those things. I think that for a lot of people in music, they still, for example, might have a hard time imagining a world of gender equity because they are stuck in the binary of treble clef and bass clef.
Hmm.
Who sings in what ranges. And I remember when Hamilton was getting really big and people were having a lot of conversations about what a show like Hamilton could mean for equity in the future, for people being able to play roles that previously as a society we weren't able to imagine playing those roles. And I remember that either Lin-Manuel Miranda was asked, could be remembering this very wrong, that he was asked if women could play these roles. And he said something along the lines of, I think in community theater or educational productions that would be fine, but I don't ever see that happening on Broadway And I was just like, right? Because I'm like, why? Why though? Like, if music notes can change a key, so can Lin-Manuel Miranda and his writing team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to that, I did a lab in the fall with Kate Kerrigan and Brian Loudermilk. Brian recently came out as a trans woman.
Oh,
And
wow.
so a lot of what we talked about in the lab, it was a really, really cool lab, by the way, and they still have it up. You can like go on the road trip online.
Oh, cool.
But it was basically just like a bunch of directors and actors and designers from around the world. And we all were assigned different scenes from the piece. And then we got to make our own version of it. And then you can do it's like a chat roulette style, like mishmash, or you can search for specific videos that you know of. So it's really, really cool. But one of the things that Brian made very clear was that she would absolutely put the songs in any key that they needed to be in to fit the actor's voice, regardless of what gender they are. And so like, it can be done, it is being done, and it should be done more because I want to play King George and Hamilton, god damn it.
Amen.
I played the Squip in Be More Chill, and I don't want to like toot my own horn or anything, but I fucking nailed it.
Yeah, everybody loved it. I didn't get to see it, but everybody raved. Like,
Fun. It was so much fun, and it was truly one of the most difficult things I've ever done. Just in terms of like the stamina needed to do that, because I sang it in his original key. That was very important to me to be able to do. I think maybe some of that is that internalized binary of like the treble and the bass clef. So I'm still trying to like figure out what that means, but I did do that, and so I was really disciplined with myself for the months of rehearsal and performance, and I'm really proud of it.
yeah, you should be.
Thank you. And clearly it can be done. And then they had, I think it was in Chicago, there was going to be a production. I think Eben Logan, formerly of DC Theater, was cast in it. And then COVID happened. I'm pretty sure that's why I didn't see. It was supposed to happen like last summer or something. But I want to say, again, don't quote me on this, very high. Haven't any of this up in a long time. I remember being on Instagram and being like, oh shit, that's cool. It's another woman playing the Squip.
Okay.
I think there's something there, yeah, there's something gendery going on there. So yeah, I don't know. I think like it works, and it works just in the storytelling of the character. The character can be a man or a woman. The character can be non-binary. Like the character can be anything. And it works. And then I know that there's the question of like, well, do you think that there are some shows where it definitely that shouldn't be the thing? And I'm like, I'm sure. I am
Yeah.
sure that if I sat down and looked at a list, I would find some shows where I feel like the gender is very important. I will say I feel like those shows more often than not would be shows in which the playwright has specified that it needs to be a certain gender. But I feel like especially lately I'm seeing that, but it's because they want a gender nonconforming or a non-binary or
Hmm.
actor to be in the role. So that's why they make those specifications. I don't think I've ever seen anyone be like a cis actor must
Must. Yeah.
do this role. Yeah.
Cool. So, wrap things up a little bit. What advice would you give to somebody who is pursuing a career involving Shakespeare with Shakespeare?
To fall in love with the language and also to not be intimidated by it.
Mm.
Don't let it control you. Like it's there to help you. And there's so many. I love text work, not just in Shakespeare, but in everything. I love text work. I was always, one of my favorite things to do in English class was when we would dissect a poem,
Mm.
or when like I just, even if it like doesn't have any really deep meaning, like who cares if the curtains are blue, that sort of thing. Finding those things out and then figuring out what was useful was really useful for me. And the same is true, I think, in Shakespeare. Yeah, they're like it. I look at a monologue or a scene or a character or a play in Shakespeare that Shakespeare wrote, and it's like it's something to be excavated, and it's something to be discovered, and it honestly, like the same way I look at Carol Churchill, the same way. Like anything that I'm like, this is like so awesome in like the literal definition of the word. And yeah, it's massive. Yeah, the expansiveness and just I don't know. I'm rambling because I'm very high, but I don't know, fall in love with it. Fall in love with it, be curious about it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, don't be afraid to say, what is this word? Let me Google this. Or I also, hold please.
Props, 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 props. Yes, props. Yes.
These two beautiful books, the Shakespeare Lexicon and Quotation Dictionary, and Oh Baby, Oh Baby. Yeah, they're great.
They're the best.
They're so helpful. They're so helpful. And like, yeah,
Like if Google fails you, those things will not fail you.
never.
Like ever.
Ugh, yeah. And like, if anyone, I know it's not probably in a lot of people's library. If you need a, if you need a, just give me a call, DM me on Instagram. This is for anyone who might be watching this. I will look it up for you in my lexicon dictionary.
Hell yeah. All right. Caroline, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
I was so pumped when you reached out to me.
Hey.
I think you're awesome. I think you're very well spoken, and I admire your opinions very much. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like us on Facebook at Bowls with the Bard, subscribe to us on YouTube and WeedTube at Bowls with the Bard, and follow us on Instagram at Stone Shakespeare. See y'all next time.
Lay me where sad true lover never find my grave to weep there.